Far away in a quiet green valley, where mountains kissed the sky and birds sang like they had no worries in the world, there lived a small river named Lyra. Lyra was not wide. She was not deep. She was not powerful like the great rivers that people talked about in songs and stories. She began her journey as nothing more than a thin stream of water flowing down from a high, snowy mountain. At first, Lyra did not even know she was special. She only knew one thing: she wanted to move forward, always forward. Every morning, when the sun touched the mountain peaks with golden light, Lyra would wake up with excitement. She would whisper to the stones beside her, "Today I will go farther than yesterday." The stones would stay silent, as stones usually do. But the wind always laughed softly, as if it knew a secret. "You are small, Lyra," the wind would say. "Where do you think you are going?" Lyra would reply without hesitation, "I am going to the ocean." The wind would pause every time it heard that answer. Then it would laugh again, louder this time. "The ocean, you, a tiny river born in the mountains, that is impossible." But Lyra never argued. She simply kept flowing. As she traveled down the mountain, Lyra met many other streams. Some were stronger than her. Some were faster. Some were already tired of their journey and wanted to stop in peaceful valleys. One day she met a wide and calm stream named Bora. Bora was resting under the shade of tall trees. He looked at Lyra and asked, "Where are you rushing off to so quickly?" "I am going to the ocean," Lyra answered proudly. Bora burst into laughter. "The ocean? Little one, don't you see how small you are? Why dream of something so far away when you can stay here and be peaceful?" Lyra slowed down for a moment. The valley around Bora was beautiful. Flowers bloomed on both sides. The air was soft. It was safe. For a second, she almost stopped. But then she remembered the mountain. She remembered the first drop of water that became her life. "I don't want to stay still," she said quietly. "I want to see everything that lies beyond." And she continued her journey. As days passed, Lyra grew a little wider. Other small streams joined her path. They merged into her, giving her more strength. With every new stream, Lyra felt her confidence grow. But the journey was not easy. Sometimes the land became dry and she had to struggle to keep flowing. Sometimes rocks blocked her path, forcing her to twist and turn painfully. Sometimes she even felt like disappearing into the ground. One evening during a heavy storm, Lyra faced something she had never seen before. A massive cliff blocked her path. The water crashed against it again and again, unable to move forward. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt fear. "What if I cannot continue?" she thought. "What if I am not strong enough to reach the ocean?" The storm roared above her, and the rain fell violently. It seemed like the world itself was telling her to stop. In that moment, a deep voice echoed through the valley. It was not the wind this time. It was something older. "Why do you struggle so much, little river?" Lyra looked around, confused. "Who is speaking?" "I am the mountain you were born from," the voice replied. Lyra felt small again. I want to reach the ocean, but I cannot pass this cliff." The mountain remained silent for a moment. Then it said something that Lyra would never forget. "The ocean is not a place, Lyra. It is a becoming. You do not reach it by being small. You reach it by growing beyond what you are." Lyra did not fully understand those words, but she held onto them tightly in her heart. The storm began to calm, but the cliff still stood in her way. That night, instead of trying to force her way forward, Lyra did something new. She listened. She listened to the land. She listened to the rain. She listened to herself. And slowly she realized something important. There was a narrow crack in the cliff, hidden beneath the rocks and moss. It was not obvious, it was not easy, but it was there. With all her strength, Lyra pushed herself into that narrow path. It was painful, it was tight, but she did not stop. Bit by bit, she moved forward, until finally she broke through. On the other side, the world opened up again. And for the first time, Lyra saw something that made her heart tremble with hope. Far in the distance, beyond the hills and forests, she saw a shimmering blue line touching the sky. It was not just water. It was calling her. It was the ocean. Lyra whispered softly, "I am coming." After breaking through the cliff, Lyra felt something she had never felt before: space. The world ahead of her was wider, brighter, and more uncertain. The air changed as she moved forward. The mountains slowly disappeared behind her, and in front of her stretched endless forests, rolling fields, and strange lands she had never seen before. Lyra realized something important. She was no longer just a mountain river. She was becoming something bigger. But becoming bigger did not mean becoming stronger without struggle. It meant facing harder challenges. As Lyra flowed through the forest lands, she met rivers much larger than her. One of them was called Merk, a broad, powerful river that moved with confidence. Merk blocked her path one afternoon, his waters calm but heavy. "You are the little stream from the mountains, aren't you?" Merk asked. "Yes," Lyra replied, "I am going to the ocean." Merk sighed as if he had heard this many times before. Many rivers say that, few ever truly arrive. The journey changes you. Sometimes it breaks you. Lyra did not argue. She simply asked, "Have you ever tried?" Merk stayed silent for a moment. Then he said, "I stopped trying a long time ago. I chose to spread here to become part of this land. It is easier that way." Lyra looked at the wide lands around Merk. Everything was calm, but something about it felt stuck. "I don't want easy," she said gently. "I want true." And she flowed past him. Days turned into weeks. Lyra grew stronger as more streams joined her. She was no longer small. She was now a real river. Her voice became louder, her movement faster. But with growth came responsibility. Not all streams that joined her were kind or pure. Some carried dirt, pollution, and sadness from the lands they passed. Lyra had to carry them too. She could not choose only the clean waters. At times she felt heavy inside. "I am becoming dirty," she whispered to herself one evening. A small fish swimming beside her heard her sadness. "You are not dirty," the fish said. "You are carrying the world. That is what rivers do." Lyra asked softly, "But how will I reach the ocean like this?" The fish smiled. "The ocean does not ask rivers to be clean. It asks them to be honest about their journey." Those words stayed in Lyra's heart. One night, something terrible happened. A group of humans built a dam across her path. Huge walls of stone and metal rose from the ground, stopping her completely. The water gathered behind it, forming a large, silent lake. Lyra pushed against the dam with all her strength. Nothing moved. Again and again she tried. But the wall did not break. For the first time in her life, Lyra could not move forward at all. Days passed. The water behind the dam became still. Some parts of Lyra began to forget the feeling of flowing. Fear returned. "What if I am meant to stop here?" she thought. "What if my dream was never real?" Above her, the sky changed colors from blue to gray. Even the wind felt different. One night, when the moon reflected softly on the still water, Lyra heard a familiar voice again. It was the mountain. "You are not trapped," the mountain said gently. Lyra replied with pain in her voice, "But I cannot move." The mountain answered, "Flow is not only movement forward, sometimes it is transformation." Lyra did not understand. The mountain continued, "If you cannot pass through the wall, then learn from it. Gather pressure, find patience, and wait for the right path." Lyra did not like waiting, but she had no choice. So she waited. And as she waited, something began to change inside her. She noticed that small cracks were forming in the dam, not from her strength alone, but from time, pressure, and persistence. She realized something powerful. Even when she was still, she was not powerless. Then one rainy night, the storm returned. But this time, it was different. The rain was heavier than ever before. The dam could not hold all the water. Crack! A small break appeared. Then another. And another. Lyra felt it immediately. This was her chance. With everything she had, she pushed forward, not with anger, but with all the patience she had built during her stillness. The dam finally gave way. Water rushed forward like a long-held breath finally released. Lyra flowed again, faster than ever, stronger than ever, alive again. Ahead of her, the land began to change. The air grew salty. The wind smelled different. And far in the distance, the blue horizon grew wider and wider. Lyra felt it in her entire being. She was getting close. Very close. The ocean was no longer just a dream. It was waiting. After the dam broke, Lyra flowed like she had never flowed before. The land around her blurred into green and gold as she rushed forward. Every drop of her felt alive, as if it had been waiting its entire existence for this moment. But something was different now. Lyra was no longer the same river that had started in the mountains. She had been blocked, she had been still. She had carried pain, patience, dirt, and storms, and all of it had changed her. She was no longer just moving toward the ocean. She was becoming something more than she understood. The closer she came, the more the world changed. The air turned salty. The soil became soft and wet. Strange birds circled above, calling out over the wide open sky. And then one morning, Lyra saw it. Not from far away this time. Not as a thin blue line, but as something endless. The ocean. For a moment, Lyra slowed down. Not because she was tired, but because she was overwhelmed. The ocean was not like anything she had imagined. It was not a destination. It was a presence. It stretched beyond vision, touching the sky itself. Waves moved like breathing. Light danced on its surface like millions of tiny stars. Lyra whispered, almost afraid, "So this is where I was going all along." As she reached the edge where river meets sea, something strange happened. She did not stop. She did not end. She began to disappear. Lyra panicked for a moment. "My shape, it is gone," she thought. "I am losing myself." Her riverbanks dissolved. Her narrow path widened beyond control. The identity she had carried for so long began to fade into something vast and unknown. The ocean spoke, not in words but in feeling. And the feeling was calm, welcoming, endless. "You are not disappearing," the ocean seemed to say. "You are arriving." Lyra struggled to understand. "I worked so hard to become a river," she thought. "I crossed mountains, forests, storms, and walls. If I lose being a river, then what was the point?" The ocean answered in silence again, But this time Lyra understood more clearly. You were never only a river. You were always part of me. And then something beautiful happened. Lyra's waters touched the ocean, and instead of ending, she expanded. Every memory she carried became part of something larger. The mountain she was born from, the streams that joined her, the rocks she fought against, the dam that tried to stop her, the silence she endured. All of it flowed into the ocean and became part of its endless body. Lyra was still there, but she was no longer alone. She was everywhere. She remembered the wind's laughter. She remembered Bora, who told her to stop. She remembered Merk, who gave up. She remembered the fish, who told her she was carrying the world. And she remembered the mountain's final words. The ocean is not a place, it is a becoming. Now she understood. She had not traveled to the ocean. She had grown into it. Waves rose gently, as if celebrating. The sun set slowly, painting the sky in colors Lyra had never seen before. And in that endless, breathing world, the little river that once dreamed of becoming an ocean finally realized the truth. She was never small. She was becoming forever.